Okay, this has been a little bit of an interesting day, so we're gonna start doing a little Shavuos. Well, we don't have much time, and I think that was more or less the vote. For the Shavuos and not necessarily doing Nasa. We'll see, maybe I'll have a chance to do some Nasa too, but probably not tonight. Anyway, in terms of Shavuos, again, what we really need to understand about Shavuos is, like Rabbi Yaakov Chatzira says, Shavuos is the time when you have already brought in the Gadlus Rishon and the Gadlus Sheni. We spoke about what Gadlus Rishon and Gadlus Sheni is. Gadlus Rishon, Gadlus Rishon, Gadlus Sheni, Gadlus Sheni. I usually say that Rabbi Yaakov Chatzira. Last week I said a different Mahalach of Nasan. I think it's on YouTube. I don't think I sent that out to mail though, unfortunately. Hopefully I'll do that. But there's another Mahalach, which is the Mahalach of the Mor B'Shem, which is very beautiful. Mor B'Shem says that katnis is when a person he's having a hard time. Things are hard. He's in katnis. He's in a diminished state. It's difficult for him. And then we have that's Gadlus Rishon. It's hard. Then you have Gadlus Rishon. He gets to this place of Gadlus. Gadlus means he starts to really over the Shem, Oros, whatever it may be. He said, but invariably every person after Gadlus Aleph, what comes next? Katnis Beis. He said, comes next, your person has a fault. He can't keep the order the way it was. He can't keep these, because we know it's really Yulin Tzarchaliyah. So at that point, he has to get to this place of Bitachon. He has to get to this place of Bitachon. And when you have Bitachon, so that you're able to access the Gadlus Beis, which is even higher, or that's the Indian a little bit of what Shavuos is about. Now, how do we access this order? It's a very good question. Like the Ma'aser Sfiras Omer, we're bringing in all the Inyanim of Kadmis Rishon, Gadlus Rishon, Gadlus Beis, Gadlus Beis. And again, Rabbi Yaakov Chatzira says it's not by accident the Seder. The Seder is that the first day of the week you bring in Gadlus Aleph of Abba, even though it's a little bit counterintuitive. And generally speaking, when you deal with Abba, it's after Ima, and also the Seder. First you have Iba. And here you have Abba first, which is weird. And then Gadlus Aleph of Ima, right? So it's like a little bit, and then Gadlus Beis of Ima, and then Katnis. Am I making a mistake? Actually, yeah, we'll leave it now. For now, we'll leave it the Seder. But actually, yeah, that's the bottom line of things. So we have this inyan of starting with Abba and ending with Abba. We start with Gadlus Aleph of Abba, and we end with Gadlus Beis of Abba. So the inyan of Abba is Chiyas, gives the murder Chiyas. That's what gives the life force. That's the Ma'aser. So you have to start, and that's the Sfiras Omer. The Sfiras Omer, you start and end with Abba. And then, when you're done with that, so you have all these inyanim of Katnis and Gadlus, all these inyanim, what they do is, they all come in, converge, so that we're able to, on Shavuos, connect to Hashem B'emes. That's really what it comes down to. Shavuos is the highest level, and really, Apida Ari and Shara Kabbalah, he says that Shavuos is really a bechin that's called Katnis Gimel and Gadlus Gimel. So the Katnis Gimel you get through the night, you stay up and you push yourself to learn, and you have to push through this Katnis Gimel, because that's what's going to bring in the Netzachol. That's going to bring in the Netzachol is the Shnei Yichos HaBris, he says. And the soul brings it also. Those are the three psukim we say in the Shavuos. And then you have the Bechina of the castle that comes in the mikvah during the mikvah and then the davening, the subsequent davening. That's what the Chassidus Forum says. A very big inyan to do the davening. It's very big inyan to do davening, especially before Shema, right? Abba Soilam, Abba Rab, whatever a person says, to stay with a lot of connection because it's a big inyan. In general, the davening is a very, very chashuv davening. Shavuos, if we're zoche, one of the highest davenings you can actually do. I still remember my teacher telling us, and the meal is also very big. So you're eating this, you think this, you think it's like you're thinking everything about Shavuos is tremendous iris. So what we have is we have to learn how to deal with katnis. And katnis is very hard to deal with. Katnis is very, very hard to deal with because the person has diminished consciousness, whereas things are going on that diminishes consciousness. It's very, very difficult for them to overcome, to transcend, and to say, okay, this is Min Hashemayim. This is what it's supposed to be. And all right, I'm just going to accept that. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do this chazik, and that's what I need to do. So we need to learn how to deal with the katnis. And again, in the katnis and Shavuos, You have these 3 psukim that start the parsha and 3 psukim that end the parsha. And Rashi says you have to keep starting again, even if it seems like you're getting nowhere. Start again, it's like you got nowhere. You read the last 3 psukim because the purpose of starting again is to finish. So by starting again, you will finish. Even though right now it's a complete gap. You did not finish. First 3 psukim, last 3 psukim, a couple of psukim in the middle, first 3 psukim, last 3 psukim. It's like, no, you keep starting and you're going to be able to be zocheh to finish. And that's really what Kabbalah Torah is about. The Kabbalah Torah is about an old Torah, taking on a yoke to be able to connect to Hashem no matter what happens, no matter how difficult and how much happens, you make a start and you stick to a start. And if you didn't manage today, so tomorrow, get back to it, make it happen, as much as possible, whatever way is possible. And again, the Shlach Kodesh says, and always this is a beautiful idea. It's a very big concept in Sefer Chabad, but it's from the Shlach a little before Chassidus. A while before Chassidus, the Shlosh says, don't forget that no Sein HaTorah. You're learning Torah. Who gave the Torah? The no Sein HaTorah gave the Torah. So you need to connect to him. He gave the Torah. He gave the Torah. He gives the Torah. That's why it's no Sein HaTorah, not Nasan HaTorah. As Eshek Nisfarim, again, Rabbi Yaakov Chatzira points this out. He says, no Sein HaTorah, not Nasan HaTorah. Melami Torah, teaches now. He says, when you say those brachos you're supposed to have in mind, Hashem's teaching Torah now. When I learn Torah, I'm learning Torah because Hashem teaches Torah now. And when He's nosing Torah, He gives the Chidushim Torah, He gives that now. And it's an active thing. It's not just I learned, whatever. No, Torah is supposed to be a deep connector. We're supposed to connect to Hashem through learning Torah. We're supposed to connect to Hashem. We're supposed to be walking with Hashem through the Torah. The Torah has a tremendous koach, unbelievable koach. It's before the world. The Nessim brings all HaMalbush. There are worlds which are before the Tzimtzum, leading up to the first Tzimtzum, before the first constriction that the Tanya, all the Chaim all talk about. There was another constriction to bring to that constriction called all HaMalbush. And that happened through the Shurish of the Osius. The Torah extends to the very beginning, before the world, before everything. And that's why we know that Nessim says there are 2 types of kashas you have to deal with. We speak about Shuvah before. Deal with kashas that are from the Shavuos Akedah. These kashas have answers. You don't always have the answer on the spot. But if you think about it, you work on it, and you zocha, you get the answer. And there are kashas that don't have answers. That doesn't mean people walk around with these deep dilemmas. It means that they don't have the answer and they move on. Ivri, you go right over it. So the Torah is the answer to the kashas that come from Chol HaPanim. We don't have an answer. I don't know what it means. I don't understand. We can ask questions that are very, very difficult to, what does Hashem care? You can say that's a question. It's very hard to answer that question. Well, we know He says, He told us so, but we don't understand the why, but we don't understand Hashem at all. So, but nevertheless, the Torah is the Gila Torah, especially connected Torah, especially deeper Torah, is the answer to the kashas of Chol HaPanim. Not that there's any answer.
How is that an answer to the kasha?
Because you don't have to give an answer when you have an answer. It's like Bubby told me. It's like my mother told me. This is like such a beautiful line. It's so expressed. She had a discussion with a guy. He's still alive, this guy, actually. Older man. I'm not going to say his name, I guess. He's not religious. He's got a couple of kids who are religious, though. And he was in the shul once with my mother. And he's like, you believe in God? Like, come on. I can talk to you. I can ask you questions. And my mother was like, listen, my friend. I want to give you a little parable so you should understand what you're saying. So you're like a guy who's colorblind, who says, I don't believe in colors because I don't see them. And she's like, okay, so you're like a little bit of that's like a nebuch approach. It's like such a sad thing. It's a little pathetic. And like, you're not going to convince the person who sees colors that there are no colors just because you don't see them. It's like, it doesn't matter. You don't see. Okay, I get you don't see. I get that. But there's no point. I have these questions. It's like when you see, you see. So Torah lets you see. That's the difference. So Torah see. That's why Nessim was someone who was a first Barry. So what, do you believe in God? And Nessim like, I saw God. Like I saw. And he said he was Makabel. Because because you get the aura. That's in the aura of the Torah. That's imbued in the Torah. That's why the Rebbe says, and the Gemara really says. The Rebbe says very practically. It's like you don't do Hashem's Ratzon, but at least you learn and you want to connect to Him. You'll get there. That's the power of the Torah, because you are reaching Olam Mabush. You are reaching the highest place possible. That's what you're reaching. That's what the Torah is. It's an incredible thing. There's no words for where the Torah goes. It's above anything, the highest place. The Aleph Beis, I always bring this. I don't remember where I think it's from that really, but I'm not 100% sure where it is. But actually, yeah, the Osios, Aleph Beis don't belong here. They don't belong in physical form. There's something else. They're just a representation of something. Something unbelievably high, different somewhere else. entirely. And that's why, again, that's what the Zohar says when a child starts doing Aleph Beis, goes up in letters of fire and makes this big, big tikkunim. And it's brought, I forgot who brings it. It's a beautiful idea. That really a person's whole learning has to be based on the learning that he did as a child, when he was without chait, or this place when you do tshuva, you get to access this incredible level that draws down this unbelievable thing. You get this incredible gift, this incredibly beautiful gift, where you're able to access the Or of the Torah. And that every person, you have such an incredible koach. There's no words for how much of a koach that is. How much of a koach a person is. Just to get to this place of the heaven peace, you ain't chait. There's like no avera. It has to be totally pure, pristine. You can't ruin it. You can't break it. You can't destroy it, no matter what you do. And you have to access that. And we always can access that. We always, no matter what, a person can always fix everything. Everything's fixable. Everything's rectifiable. That's also a very big part of what the Kabbalah Torah is about. Everything, went to Mitzrayim, you're a slave in Ebrach, and who knows what you're dealing with, and Katan Salif, and it's very difficult Katan Salif, whatever you want to tighten it up. And again, like I was saying before, I think I said this last week, the kids are, like, you have a Bechina of Emunah. Nothing says Katniss is when there's no Emunah. There's lack of Emunah. It's like he's struggling. And Katniss is when you have the Mochin, when you have Emunah. And you can say this in different levels. There's Aleph, there's Beis. As you have the Rilat Chaliyah, you're going up to the next level, so you get the next place, and that's totally different again. But again, once you're in this place of Katniss Beis, Katniss Beis is again, like the Ri says, bitachon, because when you have this bechina that's called Katniss Beis, you can get to this place where you already understand. You get the whole. You understand what's happening here. You understand a person. He realizes and he says, no, I understand that I can access the Or. I can access the Or. I already saw it. I got this Goddess. I can get Goddess back again. It's missing now, but it's going to come back. So you have these more subtle questions in the movie. The questions aren't the deep, the chalapani questions and all these questions. They're not bothering you anymore. That's already Katnasal, Gazav, long gone. You have Katnas Beis, Goddess Beis. There are other questions. Questions on yourself, for example. Can I do it? Is it chashiv? Does it matter? And it's like the answer is all of those is yes, you can. Yes, you can. And that's something you have to learn how to deal with. And that's what we're trying to get. This whole stop being an Evid. Being Evid to all the gashmias and the shtus of what you see is what you get. No, what you see is not what you get. And a big part of any success is that a person has to be zocha to this, getting to this place to be tachan and Hashem and having the belief that I can. If you don't believe you can. Like that's the story of the exchanged children, right? What do I have to lose? At first he was like, no, I could never do this. And I was like, no, actually I could. Well, what do I have to lose? When he got this idea of saying one thing for the other, Bina, this higher level, he's like, well, I can do this. I can take these tests. I don't even know what they are, but I was designed to take these tests. That's exactly the point. We have to learn how to understand. You have to have a co-op, because that's have a tremendous bitachon. It's a lot of hard work developing and working on it and figuring it out. And we need to have a lot of patience with ourselves, a lot of patience with Hashem. I said no. A lot of patience with Hashem, and that's with ourselves and with how Hashem brought us into the world. Hashem put us into life, into our situation. Because this is exactly what we needed to be in. This is exactly what we need to be in, what we need to deal with. Exactly what we need to deal with. That's exactly how it is. Exactly, precisely, just the way it was, just the way this person looks back and says, well, I have this problem and this weakness and this trouble, and like all that stuff is just what we needed. And take care of it. That's what we asked for. We asked Hashem, please give it to me this way, that way, because that's the best way I have to succeed, to make it. Chofetz Chaim brought this, Leshem brings this, the person has a handicap or a difficulty, he stutters, he's missing this, he has this trouble and that illness, that. He does with someone missing a limb, all these different difficult situations, like the guy's like, I'm such a nebuch, this guy has no arm or something, he has no this. And he doesn't realize that is the best way for you to make it in this world. That is the best way for you to succeed. I have this situation because that's the formula I need to make the tikkunim I need to make. And if I didn't have that, I'm done. That's the famous, Rabbunan. If you put your pekel in the middle of the circle, you saw your friend's pekel, you pick back up your own pekel, your burden. And that's not necessarily because your friend's burden is just as hard. You don't realize it. That's not necessarily the pshat, although that's also truth. Maybe you would have an easier time with your friend's burden. But it won't help you. It's useless. Maybe for you, you're the way your meanest was set up. It's like, no, that would be a cakewalk for me. That's no problem. Why does it have to be this way and this way? It's like, no, because that's what you need. Amarti lo. That's what you need. That's what a person needs. I need to learn how to connect to Hashem. I need to learn how to accept the way things are. Like the Rebbe says, just to Hashem. So Hashem, take this. This is yours. Help me know how to do what I need to do and figure it out and do it. Make it happen. And that's really what it comes down to. He's doing it. He does everything. So like Torah especially, that's why that's the Indian of Midbar. And the Torah Sema says that a person has to learn how not to feel the Tova is his. Don't feel that the Tova is mine. I have to learn how not to feel that it's my Torah. He said, that's why the Midbar. Because it's not me. It has nothing to do with me. Hashem gave you this matana. Why is it yours? He said, when you have that attitude, you just appreciate it as a free gift. Right? The Midbar matana. Then, like Chazal Darshan, then you're able to connect to those same Torah bands. Then you're able to connect to what's really going on, the underlying connection and awe that's in the Torah. And that's what we're really looking for. And that's again, when you can touch this bechin of Olam Mabush, like Rav Nosson, the Gur also says that's the church. And it's the Rebbe himself from Yishua Suruk and Down Mekamelech, all these farm, that's the church of the Elshis of Torah. So you think, wow, the Torah is in such a very, very sublime, beautiful, high place, this incredible place. And now's the time when it's Kabbalah's the Torah. That's when we receive the Torah. When we receive the Torah, there's a bittul of every question. Because you saw. You couldn't answer the question. People in the Midbar, when they saw by the Sinai, they couldn't answer the question of, well, what does God care? And why does it matter if it's Torah? They didn't have any answers to these questions. But they saw that Hashem's given them the Torah. That's the same thing when you learn the Torah, you get to this place where you feel, you see. Again, I was thinking of Chaim Vital. Chaim Vital says, the more you learn that read, the more you realize that this is not something that can be in any way contrived or made up. It's just impossible. It's something that's has such tremendous achdus and has such tremendous depth to it. It's something that's very, very hard to, like, the critics, the people of the Bible critics and the soft sciences say that the more you learn, you'll understand that, come on, you think this is really true? And we say the opposite. The more you learn on a deeper level, with the deeper things, the more you say this cannot be made up. That's like, and that's something you see and you know, but you can't answer. You don't have answers to these questions. They're questions that don't have answers. It's just part of being a human being, part of being in the world. There's physical, there's spiritual. We don't understand the value of spiritual in a natural way very often. And like, okay, so we do the best we can in every way we can. And that's why one of the yanim of Kabbalah Torah is trying to stay away from all this philosophical speculation and things like that, and to realize that very often the people who are bothered by machshavas, they just have, like Rav Nosson, the Rebbe said, it's one of the things that's ma'akiv tshuva, like the Rif brings and the Rambam brings, right? It's called a Baal Machshava. A person has a lot of thoughts. He's sensitive to this thought and that thought. And Machshava is something that's that's a big part of the tikkun of Shavuos Omer. And Shavuos is the next level. It's taking that to the next level, to the higher level. But Shavuos Omer is about changing the animal, the Nefesh Bahamis, and using it for the right way, in the right manner. Focusing the way you need to focus, connecting the way you need to connect. So the Rebbe says, leave the guy standing there. Don't worry about the machshava. Just right there. Don't worry. Don't let it hold you back. It's very dangerous. All these sitting in all these kashas are very dangerous. Not because they're so compelling and they're so this and so that, but the reason why we find it compelling is because we have a part of us, and that part of us is looking for any possible question, right? Like the well-known story for Vilchana. So it's a kashas to ask. So he said, I'll answer your question. He said, I'll answer your questions, but I have a question for you first. Did you go off before the questions, or did you find these questions after you went off? He said, no, actually, I had that pesataiva for whatever, and I did whatever it was, and then I was hit with this question. So he said, so you don't really have questions, you have answers. He said, I can answer questions, I can't answer answers. And they're answers. You're just answering up why he's not acting properly. And again, so sometimes the person doesn't act properly now because it's just the way it goes. But that doesn't mean that it's over. You have a ruach sarah, you have this very strong storm wind that holds the person back and and making it very difficult for him. And we need to learn, we need to know that it's not over. I have this ruach sarah, it's true, but I can still connect to Hashem in every way, in every manner, I can fix everything. Because that's the way Hashem made the world. That's the way Hashem made the world. It's always able. It started with the Shvira, and then it tickened because it has to always be fixable. That's what Nosson says. It's why there's something called the Ma'chadash that fixes the whole the Shvira Sakalim, because there's always, built in the Shvira is the tikkun. Like the Ramchal says, everything has a correction. And that's what the Ramchal brings. The Zohar says that the Ra is like a chained dog. This dog on a chain, it only can go so far. The rock can't really blow it. That's why we feel like, if you have this, people like, a piece of book or, whatever it might be, you have a story and the story ends that the bad guys win all the way and you feel like this story can't be true. It just can't be true because it's not, there's something that's absolutely, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't make sense. Why should it bother us? So, yeah, bad guy won. Yeah, it happens. Yeah. Hey, strongest wins. Like, no. That story doesn't work for us. It's deeply troubling. Why is it troubling? You're a strong guy. You won. What's the problem? Right? Survival of the fittest. It's troubling because there's another component to us. And that component, the good in us, is something, and again, the negative side, the nefesh bahamas, yeah, sure. The strong guy won. Oh, it's so fun. Action, fighting. But that part, there's a part of us that's going to be deeply dissatisfied if the bad prevails. Because we know that the world is set up. Again, there's a chain. And the dog can do a lot of damage, but that's it. Ad kan. That's all the dog's able to do. So we have to know there's a limit. And this is especially the time to learn deeper things. The Ri said to learn that Idra if you can on Shavuos. And in Source of Torah is the best time. Again, if you can do the tikkun, do the tikkun. The first and main thing is to be up. The Nachman said and the from the Ari that being up now is a tremendous rectification. As I always say every year, I guess I'll say it again, right? It's not such a kasha, it says that you'll live through the year and you'll have no damage happen if you're up the whole night. It means you're connected to Hashem. It means a lot of great things that we're trying to access, but we don't get a guarantee unless you're really doing it like a Chaim Vital. Which means you don't waste a second, everything's connection, everything's a very close loving. Then you have a guarantee. Otherwise, it's not a guarantee. We're just hoping to access these big orders. And there were many big people who, these people, Dafka, they made a big avoda of Shavuos, and before they passed away, and it wasn't just like doilim, they just were people like regular guys, but erlicha guys. And the year before they passed away, invariably, it's like, no, Shavuos he couldn't do it that time. He just couldn't stay up. Couldn't do it. Didn't have koyach, didn't have this. So it becomes a totally different Indian. So this is the culmination of an incredible tikkun. It's the day and the time that can totally transform us into something completely different. Just similar to Mount Sinai. It's also